as Formula Drift has evolved, horsepower has been needed, and it's forced us as engine builders, as drivers, and the tuners out there and builders out there to come up with new solutions to problems. And I think that was one of the things that really led me to running ethanol. Was it was a solution for so many issues. Race gas was so expensive. It's somewhat toxic. It'll give you a race car hangover. Hard to store, hard to travel, hard to source. And we were able to get everything in harmony with ethanol, and we found a clean burning, readily available, American made, high octane fuel that cost way less, that was way more reliable and way more stable. And that combined with the injectors, the Haltech computer, the motor builds, which got stronger and stronger with the KMR apex seals, KMR studding, which we all developed at Mazda Tricks. It's now just a really solid motor. So I think, the next step is definitely going to be to push it harder, add more direct port nitrous, and probably add more boost, but we're having to watch our EGTs and our other temperatures as we control ourselves into a even more horsepower fueled Formula Drift future. We already talked about apex seals a little bit, and apex seal selection, and another topic in that area that comes up is what size apex seal or how many piece apex seal. And again, I think it's relative to the situation. As the horsepower goes up, generally 2-piece or 1-piece is definitely, I think, recommended throughout. And in some situations, I definitely know some racers that prefer the 3mm, but that's not a old school 3mm. That's a redeveloped modern 3mm. However, myself, we found reliability with the 2mm 2-piece developed by E&J for KMR, and very similar to the E&J seals themselves. And really the advantages I like of the 2mm 2-piece are that it's always giving you a good seal. That corner piece can move, so it's not a 1-piece that's relying on heat expansion to fill the gaps. It still has a traditional apex seal movement. It's still a steel seal, so it's semi-exotic, but it's not all the way to a carbon or a ceramic or something that has other things, strengths, and disadvantages. So I really like its robustness as a 2mm steel. And then I like the weight savings. I think that's something nobody really talks about. A 3mm steel is heavy. I turn more RPM, I think, than most people do with similar versions of what is out there. And we're exceeding the 9.5, 9.8 range on a regular basis, sustaining that RPM under heavy load. It's not a drag car where you're just rising up in RPM and shifting. Drifting forces the max RPM for a long period of time, so everything has to be able to live at max horsepower, max load, max performance. And for that reason, I like having a lighter weight apex seal, because you don't want apex seal float, which can cause detonation and is very similar to a valve float situation or something like that in a piston motor. You can also get chatter, which can add to increased apex seal wear and increased rotor housing wear. So for me, where I'm trying to turn high RPM at high boost, at high horsepower, we're looking for all advantages possible. So we're splitting the difference. We're running a steel race seal that is malleable, so it does not break under detonation. And we're choosing to run a 2-piece 2mm for the weight savings and good seal ability.